Yo, it's Coach Ed. Got the insights, no boats. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies ballin', fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down dynamic, tune in, listen up. Don't wanna miss the flow. It's Coach Ed Reed and Attack the Sports Show. From the courts to the field, he's got the stats. Dropping knowledge where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the play. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say play. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turf delight. Youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the flats, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.
What's going on, everyone? It's Coach Ed here with another Read and Attack Sports Show live, where I bring you my perspective on sports, going over so many different aspects of sports. So it's a really interesting and exciting venture, and I really appreciate all of you guys for being here. So thank you all, and I'm excited for today's show. Hope you guys really enjoy today's telecast. So before we get into it, make sure you guys hit the like button. You know the routine, man. Hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe and hit the notifications so you know when the new content goes up. And everyone always help me out. Share it on every social media platform. So make sure you hit the like on the Hardcore Sports Network, the Big Blue Crew Sports Network, Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports. All right. So thank you. And make sure you subscribe to all those networks and channels. So I'm going to tap in real quick to the channel. Leaf, my brother, what's going on, man? Thank you for being here. So everyone, thanks again. So I'm going to get right into it. Before I do, though, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about or make, I don't want to say, but it's meant a lot to me. And yesterday was the anniversary of the passing of Aaliyah. She was an artist who I truly appreciated. I really loved her music. I loved her artistry. That day when I found out that she died in a plane crash, it brought me to tears, man. It really did. My girl at the time, she had to console me because, it was just, she's 22 years old, had her life ahead of her. And for it to be taken away, it was just difficult. So at that time, and, even today, you still feel some impact from her music somewhere, somewhat, somehow. Some young artists they have some type of an impact, whether they say that, she was an artist that they enjoyed her music and they're trying to model their music a little bit after her. It's just that, what, she still is felt today. And I just wanted to, let it be known that, at least for me, I still think about her. This month is always difficult because of her passing and the passing of my love. So, but just wanted to talk about that. But now let's get into the sports scene, man. I know you guys didn't come here to hear about that, but, right now I want to talk about the NFL. I mean, this past weekend, you had every team finish up their preseason games. A lot of those games were with players who were on the back end, who were fighting for a roster spot. There were some key players who, you're trying to see if they're going to be a starter. They're in competition with another player. I know Pittsburgh was one with the quarterback between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, but that's throughout the whole league. A lot of teams, sat their key players, their starters, and they played a lot of guys who were on the back end. And you're starting to see cuts now coming through the league from this past weekend's game. So it's tough as a coach. It's always tough to, tell a young man that, what, he's not a fit for your team. Maybe there's another team that he can latch on to. But you know what? These are people. They have feelings. You have feelings. You do become attached to them because, from the time you sign them all the way through OTAs, through mini camps, through meetings, you're building a relationship. And then, if they just don't cut it for your team, to sit there and pull them into your office and tell them, you know what, it's just not the right fit, and you wish them well, but it's tough. And you're going to see a lot of teams, making cuts. And there's going to be a lot of guys who, end up on the waiver wire, and a lot of other teams are going to come through and they're going to snatch up some guys, but it's still tough. It's always tough when you go through, this time of year, especially as a coach. So, yeah, Arku, that's on my agenda. I'm going to talk about that too. So thanks for tapping in, brother. I really appreciate you. So, but yeah, it's always tough when you see young men who, they've been dreaming since they were little kids, playing youth football, going through high school, college, and, you get an opportunity, and you know what? One team says, you're just not good enough to make their team, so doesn't mean their career is done. They can sign somewhere else. There's been plenty of guys who've signed somewhere else, restarted their career, and even going on to have Hall of Fame careers. So, but it's always tough as coaches. It's tough on us, man, because that's the thing, you're telling a young man, and sometimes you're breaking a young man's dream, and it's tough, but, that is the business. So, right now, that's what you're going to see. So, pay attention to the waiver wire. We have enough, basically 2 weeks to, start to fine tune that. This week, you're going to see, teams going through the waiver wire, bringing guys in. And then next week, you're going to start ramping up for your first game of the season. Man, think about that, man. We just had Kansas City back in February winning the Super Bowl, and here we are now. It's ready for another batch of football. I just love it, man. I just love it. All brands of football, college football, NFL, high school, youth football, indoor football, spring football. I just love it, man. Women's football. So I just love it. I'm excited. So now my man Arku just spoke about CeeDee Lamb. That was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. CeeDee Lamb signed with Dallas 4 years, $136 million. We've been waiting on this. The NFL world has been waiting on this. Jerry Jones, what took you so long? But it got done. So it's going to set the market. What's up, Alex, man? Thanks for tapping in, man. I really appreciate you. So always good stuff. Good job. Saw your video earlier today around noon. So good job, man. I really appreciate it. But with CeeDee Lamb, it's also going to set the market in a sense for the other receivers who are sitting in or holding out. So we already know, okay, he got 4 years, $136 million. So on a yearly average, that's the one thing I forgot to do. 136 divided by 4, it's about 34 mil a year. So, so hey, Jamar Chase, he's going to look at that and say, hey, I'm in the same stratosphere if I'm not better than him. Ayuk with the 49ers, he's going to see that, and other teams, they don't like seeing that because it does set your market. But in the same token, that's the business, man. That's what it is. So, and team, you're going to start seeing. So I think some of these other receivers, especially before the start of the season, start to get situated and sign. I don't know about Ayuk as yet. We'll wait and see. But I do think Jamar Chase, once CeeDee Lamb was signed, I think he can go to the table with Cincinnati and say, look, this is the market. I deserve the same amount, if not more. So, and, they should be able to work out something, and if Cincinnati is stubborn, then, who knows? Maybe he gets traded. No, I don't think he's going to get traded. I'm being smart. I'm being a smart behind. So next on the list is Malik Willis. I got the notification about an hour ago. Maybe it was, 2 hours ago that the trade went through. I don't know, but he got traded from the Titans to Green Bay for a 2025 7th round draft pick. Willis, he got beat out. Will Levis, got the starting job there. So he's going to go and he's going to back up Love out in Green Bay. So, and he's going to get to develop and, who knows what the future has. What's up, NYG? Thanks for tapping in, my brother. I really appreciate you, man. Hope everything is safe with you, man. Um, yeah, Jerry was playing with your emotions, are cool. I get it, So as Cowboy fans, that's hey, that's what happens. But that's also the business. So yeah, deception. I'm talking about Malik Willis. He just came over my wire, so I said let me go ahead and put that in. So I'm a realistic Cowboy fan. You will ever know. Okay, but yeah, deception. I was talking about Willis. Him going out there, clean slate, fresh start. Hey, he probably's gonna love that. Going from Tennessee to Green Bay, not weather-wise, but in terms of talent. He's going to be playing for a better team. And, Jordan Love still, we're still trying to see, and we believe he's there. He has all the skills, but you know what? That strengthens their quarterback room, and, being in the Green Bay system, I think that can also help him. He can develop. And again, that's a good look for him, in terms of developing himself. And who knows, he may become a very good quarterback as a backup. Or you know what? He may be pushing Love, and another team may come in and say, "Hey, we'll trade for him once he gets, some more tutelage from Green Bay." So, but yeah, that was the other news. And finally, you had Minnesota wide receiver Jordan Addison. He's suspended for 6 games for the DUI arrest. I kind of figured that was coming, and this is usually the time you start to see that. You want to get it done, start at the beginning of the season, and carry into the 6 weeks. So now that does kind of that affects Minnesota. Because now teams are going to, in a sense, roll their coverage a little bit more towards Jefferson. But their offense, Minnesota's offense, if Sam Darnold can play at a serviceable rate, but I don't know why Giants fans hate Malik. I don't know anybody who hates him. They just don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't think they hate him. I mean, but if you're talking about his talent, that I can't answer for you why they don't like him. So I know you love him, NYG. Willis has the tools to be successful. I'm not super high on him, and his upsides can be a mental trap for coaches, but maybe a change of scene. Yeah, exactly, deception. That's my point. And you're going to Green Bay, because think about it. What is Green Bay known for? Bringing in the quarterback or drafting the quarterback, letting him sit and develop, and then they becomes a much better quarterback. They did that to Rodgers, then they did it to Love, and here you go. What's up, Daniel Berry? Thanks for tapping in. So, hey, that's why I said it could be a very good scene for him, to go there to Green Bay and sit and develop. And you know what? If he proves himself, someone who will trade for him. Green Bay sent a 7th away for him. So, if he develops and he's worth let's say he's worth a 5th round draft pick, next year or even the year after that. I don't know what his contract's for, but they've made a wise investment. And if he still just stays there and he develops, there you go. You have a very good backup. You have 2 good quarterbacks, young quarterbacks. You have young players on offense, young receivers. They could develop into a very serious problem, and you won't worry about your quarterback position because you'll have Willis there. So I agree. Change of scenery, deception. Usually can be for a quarterback like him. I think it will have a good effect on him. Being in the right system and developing and being coached up the right way. So. What's up, Ann Cave? Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you. So, but yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of the NFL. In terms of those storylines. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the New York Giants, the 53. Yesterday, I was with the BBK. We did, our projections, and I was thinking a little bit more, did a little bit more research. Checked out a couple of known Giants former players as well as good content creators. And I did a little bit more thinking. I just really did a little bit more thinking. And I'm going to give you my 53. You can love it, you can hate it, doesn't matter. But this is what I'm thinking. The Giants will ultimately go to. So I'm going to start with the quarterback position, and there's no doubt about it. It's Jones and Locke, definitely. Locke, his money is guaranteed. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, well, what about, Tommy DeVito? I get it. I understand. It's also about the numbers game. They're going to take a chance. And if he doesn't get picked up, you can bring him back to the practice squad. So, but that's my thought. What's up, Q Girl, brother? Thank you for tapping in, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh, and before I forget, I did forget initially, today's episode is sponsored by the New Jersey Silverbacks, New Jersey's newest minor league semi-pro football team. They're coming to you, and they're looking to welcome you to the jungle. So, but again, getting back to the quarterbacks, I do think they're going to go with 2 to start, unless, now look, if Drew Lock is hurt more than what he is, then yes, DeVito is going to make the roster, and then you're going to have to make changes somewhere along the line. But if Lock is, really his injury was not that severe, I think DeVito gets cut. I really do. Watching some of the game on this weekend, when I looked at it, he's still holding the ball a little bit too long, in my opinion. That's something that he really has to work out. He seemed a little erratic at moments, but he has some talent. I'm not saying he doesn't, but in this regard, the Giants are probably going to go with 2. They're going to look on the waiver wire. Maybe they pick up another quarterback there. But right now, once we go through the first set of cuts, I think it's going to be 2 quarterbacks. So, and we'll take it from there. In terms of the running backs, it's going to be 4. Devin Singletary, Eric Gray, Tyrone Tracy, and Dante Miller. This is pretty much the same thing we had with the BBK. So that's what I was thinking about, in that regard. It's going to be the 4 running backs. They're going to fit in. They're fitting into, or the system is being developed around them per se. So, that's how I'm looking at it. Reports saying DeVito's on the roster because they're going to go back to the old rule of keeping 3 quarterbacks in the roster. Remember, before you could evaluate from the. Okay, well, now if that's the rule and he doesn't count towards the 53, okay. Right now, until I get that, I'm going to stick right now with what I'm seeing. I think we're going to go with 2 quarterbacks. And hey, like I said, I'm not perfect. I know I'll be wrong at times on my guess. This is my opinion. This is my guess. I'm not in the war room with the coaches, so I really don't know. I'm not there with Shane in the management meeting. So, in NYG, you're probably all right. Usually you do your research and you usually pretty accurate on what you're talking about. So, but yeah, the running backs, I think it's going to be Singletary, Gray, Tracy, and Dante Miller. They're looking to eventually build up Tracy so he can be that feature back. So, but he's young, new to the position. Singletary's still a veteran. He can help those guys. Eric Gray, one-cut runner. He can attack downhill, and while he doesn't have elite 4.3 speed, he has good enough speed to break away from players, even if it's not an 80-yard touchdown. But he can get you 40 yards on a long run, 50 yards on a long run, and that's very good right there. So, but yeah, they're going to go with 4 running backs. In terms of the tight end, now it's going to be 4. I think it's going to be Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson, Jacob Johnson. Johnson is actually a fullback / tight end, so that's why I grouped them here. And then I think it's going to be Cager or Manhertz. And the reason why I say that is Manhertz and Jacob Johnson are pretty much almost in the same mold. Now, Manhertz is a very good blocker. Same thing with Johnson. Johnson can give you more out of the backfield, too, as a lead blocker and then slipping into the flat and catching the football in the flat. So now I'm not saying Manhertz isn't talented enough, but I see that. Cager, depending on his injury situation, because he's still technically a big body receiver, but you can at times try and get something in the blocking game from him. But it's a matter of what do they look to do, because with Bellinger and Theo Johnson, they're young. So if you go with those two and Jacob Johnson, you might need that veteran aspect with Cager. That's thanks a lot, brother. I really do appreciate that. So that's right. Please hit that like button for Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sport, as well as the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. Thank you everyone for your support. Now if he goes on pup, then that means Manhertz will get on. So that's kind of where I was thinking too, because I was talking about his injury. But when he comes off, then that's where Manhertz is going to come off, because Johnson can give you pretty much the same thing. Theo Johnson is still developing; he's still young, so that's something that we have to keep in mind. But once he develops, then Cager can become obsolete in a sense, because he's a bigger, younger, and faster type of a player. So, but yeah, that's what I think. I think we're going to go with 4 tight ends. Next up, I'm going to talk about is the wide receiver group. So, and with the wide receiver group, I think it's going to be 6. Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, Allen Robinson, and it's either going to be, I think it's going to be Gunner or Miles Boykin, because they're going to be the also the return guys. Now, I know some people will say, oh, well, you have Dante Miller. He can if you develop him, but he's, is he ready at this present moment? The other two, Gunner, we definitely know is very secure. And, but, how much explosion are you going to get from him, in the return game? Boykin can give you a little bit more. Now, sometimes he's inconsistent and you have concerns about him protecting the football. So, that's a good factor. Now, I know some of you will say, well, what about Isaiah Hodgins? It's going to come down to Robinson and Hodgins. That's why I think it. Now, if they go 7, I think Hodgins is on. But right now I think it's going to be 6. With Neighbors, Slayton, and Hyatt is your starting group. Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be that slot guy who comes in, and Allen Robinson is your veteran guy. So, but that's where I think they're going to go in terms of the receivers. Hey guys, make sure you guys leave me your thoughts in the chat. Don't be afraid to hey, if you think I'm wrong, tell me. I don't mind. We can talk about it. That's fine. This is just my opinion, but I do want to interact with you guys. So let me know what you think. So, but yeah, that's what I think in terms of the wide receiver room in what's going to happen with the Giants. Next up, we all know the offensive line. Now, I think we're going to go with 9. Andrew Thomas, Illuminor are going to be your tackles. You're going to have Evan Neal and Joshua Zuda as your backups. You're going to have John Runyon as one starter, Van Roten as the other starter, John Michael Schmitz as the center, Stiddy and Kubas. Now, you might say, well, who's going to be your backup centers? Right now, it's going to be Van Roten. They trust him more than, anyone else. So can they pick up someone off of the waiver wire? Yes. And I think that's what they'll probably do to bring it in. Now, does it become a 10th offensive lineman, or do you replace someone? And if you do, who do you replace? Is it Kubas? Is it Joshua Zudu? Zudu right now has the versatility also to play a little bit play the guard. And I know some people don't like just going back and forth, but that's what he can give you, especially over Evan Neal. Evan Neal is not ready to be bumped inside to play guard. So if he was ready, then I could say Joshua Zudu is probably gone, and you can probably bring someone else in. So, but that's what I think in terms of the offensive line. So I think they're going to go with 9. So I don't try as much as a wide receiver. I know he's good on special teams, but we do need help behind. Yeah, I know. This is why the waiver wire is going to be, I think for the Giants, it's going to be a lot more active than maybe some other teams, because, the depth on this team is a concern. It really is, and that's the thing. That's why I said, after yesterday and talking to a few people and doing some more research and looking at some things, I'm like, you know what, this team, especially on the offensive side, needs some more depth. I mean, as a whole, we need some depth. We really do. At certain key spots, the starters are okay, but you can't expect the starters to play all game long. There's no way you can last that long for the whole season, and then injuries happen. So, but yeah, I mean, Boykin, I get you, and that's why I was just like, and I think McKenzie, because he's hurt, I think he's, probably going to be an injury settlement. I just don't know how severe his injury, but I was listening to someone who said, yeah, he's probably gone, and it's going to probably be Gunner. Gunner, they feel might be ready by the start of the season. So, and if he is, then that's where it's going to be. Yeah, I know you hate Azudu. I know you said it from the get go. Leave him inside, at the guard position. So, but yeah, getting back to the offensive line, that's what I think right now. So, everybody else, let me know what your thoughts. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know what you guys think. So, I'm going to touch on special teams real quick. There's no change here, same as last year. Matt is going to go on to the practice squad. He's a international developmental player. So, from Rutgers. With Tudo, what's up, brother? Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm going to touch a little bit on RU. Not a lot, but just we got the game coming up. So, but getting back to the special team. So now I'm going to move to this is what I'm going to call interior defensive line. So that's if you're playing a 1 or 0 tech to a 5 tech. That's pretty much in between the tackles on the offensive line. You're not playing on the edge anywhere. So, but here I'm going with 5: Dexter Lawrence, Nacho, Jordan Riley, Chapman, and DJ Davison. There's some players who are you're going to question. You're going to say, why is DJ Davison coach over, the kid from the young kid, the other undrafted free agent? I also look at special teams. DJ Davison is on special teams too. He's on the field goal extra point, and so that's a big thing. So until if you have a young player who can develop, then you go ahead and you can take him, you can add them on. So thank you, Tudo, for putting the links in there, man. I really appreciate it. Q-Bro, I think I have everyone. Yeah, Tudo has all the links in there. Make sure you guys follow those links, hit those links, hit the like, subscribe. Make sure you share on all social media platforms. We really appreciate it, man. Thank you, everyone. So, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now in terms of the interior defensive line. So, so you're going to go with 5. In terms of the edge, you're going to go with 5: Burns, Thibodeau, Aziz, Boogie Basham, and Fox. Now, Boogie Basham can also bump inside. So, we really don't want him outside that much. But, if you need to give guys a break, and he can go out there for a play or two, then okay. But, he can also give you some help inside. So you can bump him down, especially in pass rushing situations. So, that helps there also because, I know Dave will like some versatility with guys. So, but that's what I think in terms of the the edge players. So I think they're going to go with 5. In terms of the inside linebackers, off the ball linebackers, not edge, it's going to be 5: Bobby O, McFadden, Deontay Johnson, Carter Coughlin, and Musal. Musal, and the last 3, give you special teams versatility. Carter Coughlin has been a demon on the special team, so I think he makes it there. Do you think Whitley is? If he can get there, yes, I think he's on the practice squad. So, and that's what I think the team is hoping for. Now if he plays himself into a contract with someone else, then that's a chance you have to take. So, what's up, Raph? Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you. So, but yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to take the chance. It's always a numbers game. No matter what, you want certain guys to make it. If you could have more players make it, then you would. But it's always a numbers game. You saw what we went through yesterday, NYG. It's tough, man. It's really tough. So, So and again, there's more reports coming out. So, that's why I made certain adjustments. As far as the cornerbacks, it's going to be 5: Banks, McLeod, Flott, Phillips, and Darnay Holmes. And anybody knows me knows how I feel about Holmes, but he's probably better than the rest for the most part. I mean, you can make certain calls with one of the veteran cornerbacks. So, but that's what I'm seeing. So, Tudo on my way to Jersey for a week, May had a broken right hand. Oh wow, bro. Sorry about that, bro. I hope you get better, Tudo, man. But yeah, I mean, it's always good to go back home too, though. So, but yeah, getting back to the cornerbacks, yeah, those are what I think. Your starters are going to be Banks, McLeod, and probably Phillips. Cordell Flott is going to be that backup, and same thing with Holmes. They're just going to be there to back up and help. Unless we can find service. So this is why it's a same thing that I keep saying. The waiver wire is where we're going to be looking to pick up guys, unless something happens, a trade comes through, or somebody really slips through. So, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now in terms of the Giants. And then at safety, there's supposed to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's supposed to be 5. Pinnock, Isaiah Simmons. Simmons can also play linebacker. So I know some of you might be saying, Coach, he's a linebacker, but they also have him listed as safety. So, and that means he can play, in the slot. He can play deep in the safety. He can play off ball. So he gives you that versatility. Tyler Nubin, the young second round draft pick, Belton, who's still developing, and Owens, who gives you, also special team versatility. So, that's what I think the link has to extend the 53 roster rule, especially when it's 17. Q-Bro, I've been thinking that, and I'm like, why is the union not fighting? But again, this is also might be a collective bargaining situation, so it might be something that they have to negotiate. So, because if you're doing 17 games and then you're talking about possibly doing more games, because I've heard 18, I've heard getting rid of preseason altogether and going with 20. I don't know how feasible that is, but they'll argue, well, college doesn't have a preseason and they look perfectly fine. I'm not agreeing with that. I think you need preseason. I'm just one who thinks that you need 4 preseason games. I'm sorry. I just do. But that's the old school in me. That's what I know, and I've seen the development of guys and players. So, that's where I stand with that. So, but yeah, that's my 53 in terms of the New York Giants. Safeties, you go with 5. Pinnock, Simmons, Nubin, Belton, Owens. Cornerbacks, you go with 5. Banks, McLeod, Flott, Phillips, Holmes. Linebackers, you go with 5. Bobby O, McFadden, Johnson, Coughlin, Masao. Edge, 5. In terms of Burns, Thibodeau, Ojulari, Basham Jr., and Fox. And interior defensive line, you go with 5. Lawrence, Nuchez, Roches, Riley, Chapman, and Davison. You've got your 3 special teamers in Kreider, Gano, and Gillen. And then 9 offensive linemen: Thomas, Illuminor, Neal, Bizzuto, Runyon, Van Roten, Schmitz, Stinney, and Kubas. Wide receiver 6, Neighbors, Slayton, Hyatt, Robinson, Wandale Robinson, Allen Robinson, just caught that, and either Olszewski or Boykin. 4 tight ends with Bellinger, Theo Johnson, Jacob Johnson, and either Cager or Manhurst. 4 running backs: Singletary, Gray, Tracy Jr., and Dante Miller, and 2 quarterbacks for now, Jones and Drew Lock. So that's what I was thinking right now in terms of the Giants 53 this week. And then next week, there'll probably be changes as we prepare for Minnesota. So, but again, let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'll go back and look at it and talk about it, as we go along. So right now, I'm going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Check the team. We hit hard, grind tough, Silverbacks, yeah, we playing rough. Seasons changing, we don't bluff. 24's our year, say enough's enough. New Jersey reppin', we rise above. In that huddle, fighting is our love. Get down or lay down, push comes to shove. No fakes, no counterfeits, it's strength we show. Hustle on the field, opponents moving slow. See your fall, we coming up, yeah, you know. Silverbacks in the game, we still a show. New Jersey pride, let our colors glow. Get down or lay down, this is how we roll. From Newark to Trenton, the crowd shouts loud. Gridiron King, standing tall and proud. Training hard, every sweat drop counts. Blood, sweat, and tears, that what we about. Defensive lines a wall, offense storms like thunder. Silverbacks, baby, watch us break asunder. Eyes on the prize, Super Bowl ambition. Coach Ox got the vision, making no omissions. Each play we running sharp, no intermission. Taking over fields, every fan's addiction. Passionate, raw, stadium's our domain. Every snap, every throw, we bring the pain. From Patterson to Camden, we're chasing that fame. In 2024, you gon' remember our name. 24, we coming up, yeah, you know. Silverbacks in the game, we still a show.
All right. Thank you for the Silverbacks for always being a supporter of Coach Ed and everything I do. So thank you again. So, and speaking on the Silverbacks and also other League of a League Lions scores, the Silverbacks, they got their second win of the season with a dominating win over the New York Bears. The Bears are usually one of the better teams in the region. And, you know, the Silverbacks just went up into New York. Into I believe it's Fishkill, New York, and they just put the whoop down on the Silverbacks, on the Bears. So congratulations to them for that win. Is big, and it's in terms of positioning them for the season. Also, the Brooklyn Pharaohs defeated the Long Island Red Devils 20-0. The Jersey Sharks picked up a crossover win 19-0, and the Central Jersey Vikings also picked up a crossover win 21-0. In terms of the standings, I'm just going for the standings. Currently, as the standing goes, Brooklyn Pharaohs and the Jersey Sharks are both undefeated at 3-0. The Silverbacks are at 2-1. The Bears, I believe, are at 1-2. The Red Devils are 1-2, and the Vikings are at 1-2. So that's going to be the update for the League of All League Alliance. So. And thank you for always supporting me with everything I do. Now I'm going to move over to the WNBA. And there's this weekend was a tough one for me as a Liberties fan because they ended up losing to the Connecticut Sun at home. The last 2 years, New York had been undefeated, so this is the first win for Connecticut over that time frame. And the key factor was actually with Mabry. She played very well. She was very gritty, gutsy, and also scoring effectively. She let Connecticut off the bench in scoring with 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. She was 6 of 14 overall, 2 of 5 from the 3-point line. So, and she adds another dimension because they brought her off the bench. So, you know, that's something that, you know, I was expecting her to be in the starting lineup, but for her to come off of the bench, that was a big thing. So, you know, yeah, it really changed the dynamics, and it's now going to make this a true rivalry. So New York can't just figure on, oh, we're just going to walk all over Connecticut, you know, like we did last year. Connecticut is coming to play. And that lineup change really, you know, is dynamic. So, yeah, your head coach isn't tripping. What's up, Chad? Thank you for being here. Mosley, what's up, man? Thank you. You know, good win for the Vikings, man, you know, with the crossover win. So, but yeah, getting back to Mabry, she really helped that team. Her and Brianna Jones in the pick and roll, they really hurt New York this weekend. So New York has to do a better job. They have to pick up, you know, and overall, everyone just seemed to play bad, in my opinion. Brianna Stewart She was 15 of 15, 4 assists, 7 of 15, 1 of 4 from 3, but it seemed very quiet with her. It's not the Breanna Stewart that I'm used to. Jonquel Jones, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 10 overall. Leona Febish had a good game, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 of 7 overall, 2 of 3 from 3. Sabrina Ionescu, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but she was 3 of 13, 2 of 12 from 3. I mean, it just seemed like, every time she put up a shot, it just was not going in. And, she's been off for the past couple of days with an injury, neck injury, excuse me. So, I'm also factoring that in. She's coming back from an injury. So it's going to take her a little bit of time. But, New York is still a tough team. They're still in first place overall. So, but yeah, that was their loss. They're now 25-5 overall. Connecticut bumped up to 22-7. So, but congratulations to Connecticut on getting that win and changing the dynamic of the season. Hey, maybe it's going to open New York's eyes, and you know what? They're going to focus in. I mean, tonight they have a tough game. The next 3 games, they're on the West Coast taking on tonight. They take on the Mercury. I believe it's the Mercury, the Sparks on Wednesday, and then Seattle on Friday. So now in terms of the standing, New York is in first place overall. Connecticut is in second place. The Lynx are in third place at 22-8. The Storm are in fourth place at 18-10. The Aces are in fifth place at 18-11. The Mercury are in sixth place at 16-14. The Fever are in seventh place at 13-16. The Sky are in eighth place at 11-18. The Atlanta Dream are in ninth at 10-18. And then the Mystics and the Wings are both 10-11 at 7-22. And then the Sparks bring up the rear at 6-24. So, that's the way it stands in terms of the playoffs. The top 8 make the playoffs. So right now it's the Liberty, the Sun, the Lynx, the Storm, the Aces, the Mercury, the Fever, and the Sky right now. But the Dream are right there. Depending how things play out the rest of the season, they definitely have the opportunity to make the playoffs. So it's going to be an interesting run. New York has to, it's not like they can walk away with the locked in with the number 1 seed overall. Connecticut is right there. You cannot relax. They still have games to be played. And right now, I think only New York and Minnesota are the only 2 teams that I think have secured a playoff win. So, and New York right now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more games to play. So, again, like I said, it's still a fight to the finish. And overall, New York is 2.5 games in front of Connecticut. So they still got to fight. They still got to win. You can't go ahead resting players or anything like that. You got to work hard and until you definitely secure the number 1 overall spot. So, but that's one thing I wanted to talk about there. And then I also wanted to talk about the WNBA's power rankings. I'm sorry, the CBS Sports power rankings for the WNBA. I was looking at that, and I figured, okay, everyone pretty much has the same. And actually, Connecticut, the CBS Sports power ranking is different. They have the Liberty at 1, but they actually have the Lynx at number 2, and their statement is no team has had a more impressive restart than the Lynx, who kept on rolling this week with 2 wins over the Aces and 1 against the upstart Fever. And the Aces win was big because they did that in Las Vegas. So it's the longest active winning streak right now. Overall, they won 6 games in a row. Now that New York lost, it's the longest active winning streak because New York was up to 8 wins until they just lost. Collier is making a late push to join the MVP conversation, and Miami Moore's jersey's down the right rafters for Minnesota. So, but yeah, the Lynx are at number 2, the Sun are at 3, the Storm are at 4, the Aces 5, the Mercury 6, the Fever 7. They have the Dream at 8. So, like I was saying before, these two teams can be flip-flopping at the end. The Sky at 9, the Wings at 10, the Mystic at 11, and the Sparks are at 12. So, and I think that's how it's going to play out. I think the Lynx and the Sun are going to be battling, and then the Storm and the Aces are going to keep battling. But New York cannot just say, okay, we have it locked up. They have to, get in there, and they have to continue to win, play hard, and win over these last 10 games. So it's going to be very interesting and exciting to watch this as we go down the wire. So, but that's it in terms of my WNBA news. The next thing I'm going to get into is the college football scene. So this is my love. This is my baby. So this weekend, great game out in Ireland. You had Georgia Tech come back to beat number 10 Florida State 24-21 with a field goal as time expired. Florida State started out first series coming out, and you thought they were going to just dominate this game. Took the ball, first series, drove right down the field, scored a touchdown, and they did the swinging gate going for 2 and secured the number and get the 2 points, and then they were up 8-0. Now, Georgia Tech came back, and they showed, no, we're not going to be an easy win, and they went right down the field, mixing it up with the run, with the pass, and they went down and they scored a touchdown and kicked the extra point. It was 8-7. Eventually, Florida State kicked the field goal that pushed it to 11-7. Georgia Tech, right before the half, ended up scoring a touchdown, making it 14-11. Florida State went down right before the half, kicked the field goal, and it was 14-14 at the half. In the second half, both teams scored a touchdown I think it was in the fourth quarter, and it was 21-21 before it ended up going to the close. Georgia Tech ended up getting the ball last, positioned themselves well, and they kicked the field goal to win the game. So, it is crazy. Wasn't expecting it. I'm not going to lie. But it also shows, many people are saying in terms of Florida State, about last year, and DJ Uiagalelei, he was efficient with his passing, but a lot of his passings, they did a chart. Most of his passes were within a yard of the line of scrimmage. And, and I think he had like 1 or 2 passes deep that he completed, and that's not going to cut it in college football. You can do that with some teams, but when you play teams like Clemson, you just lost to Virginia Tech, if you're playing schools like North Carolina, you're not going to be able to beat them. You got to play Florida, you have to play Miami. That's not going to cut it. You're going to end up walking away with the L, and, right now with the 12-team playoffs, they're still in the playoff hunt. It's just going to make it a little bit more difficult. But, they can, if they lose one more, okay, but you can't lose more than that, not with the SEC and not with the Big Ten, probably going to be getting 3 teams in a piece. Then you have the Big 12 and you have the best from the group of 12, before you have at-large bids. So, if they don't win if they don't win the ACC, it's going to be a tough fight for them. So, but yeah, I thought it was a great game. If you're a college football fan, it was great. The pageantry, being out there in Ireland, the crowd, everything associated with it. So, but yeah, congratulations, Georgia Tech. You proved yourself that, look, you should at least be in the conversation. Now you're going to have to continue to win, and, look, they position themselves well. If they were to go to the ACC championship and win, they're in the playoffs, but, if they end up having 1 loss, maybe 2 losses, but they're not bad losses, they can also still get into the playoffs. So this one is big for them. And while it's not devastating to Florida State, it just creates a certain perception, because I want to see where they drop in terms of the ranking. They were at 10. How far do they drop? Do they drop down to, 23, 24? We'll see. And where does Georgia Tech get bumped up to? Because now they deserve to be in there. Do they deserve to be right there in that 15 range, or can you push them even higher depending on what happens in other games this weekend? So I'm going to be keeping an eye out on that. So, that's something that I just always do pay attention to. So next up, my Scarlet Knights. Chop, baby. We start on Thursday. All right. So we have an early game this week. Thursday kickoff. We're hosting Howard from the MEAC FCS program. But Rutgers right now is favored by 36.5 points. So right now, this is going to be about their new quarterback, Ethan Kaliakmanis. Is he going to be able to help the passing game? You have a large amount of seniors back with Rutgers and on the offensive line, defensively, running back. You have some seniors in the receiver game. You also have some transfers, at receiver. If Ethan Kaliakmanis can at least force teams to play back, as opposed to last year with Gavin Wimsatt, where teams you were facing 8 and 9-man boxes, this can really help Rutgers' offense. I'm not saying it's going to be a prolific offense. That's not what I'm saying. But you know what? If they can average 24, 26 points a game, that's big for Rutgers, because they do have a very good defense. So, and defensively, if you can keep teams under 20, that's going to be a big factor for them, in terms of their schedule, because they definitely do have, a very favorable schedule, while it's still not the easiest schedule, per se, because you do have to go to USC. You're still playing Washington, who's new to the Big Ten, UCLA. You still play Maryland. Maryland always seems to give Rutgers problems. Michigan State is with a new coaching staff, they're going to be tough. So it's going to be, but yes, they don't play Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa, Oregon. So yes, they are in a favorable position, but they still got to go out there and they got to win. So, but it starts, like I said, on Thursday. So good luck to them. Another one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on is UNC going to Minnesota. It's an 8:00 kickoff, and UNC is favored by 2 points. So, UNC is going to be breaking in a new quarterback, but they always, they do have a good program. They may not be, championship caliber as of yet, but, we're going to see what happens. Minnesota, they're usually a tough team, but, last year was a tough year for them. So let's see what happens, with them going forward. And the other one on Thursday I want to keep an eye on is North Dakota State from the FCS level, but they're usually a championship caliber program at the FCS level. They're going to Colorado to take on Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Right now Colorado is favored by 10 points. So usually when you're playing FCS, even good ones, you want to be close to the 20-point range. But this one they're 10 points. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Friday, there's really not many good games. They're all double digit in terms of favorites. The closest one is Florida Atlantic going to Michigan State. Michigan State is favored by 14 points. And you also have, you have TCU going to Stanford. TCU is favored by 9 points. That's a late game, a 10:30 kickoff there. So, so I'll keep an eye out on that. And then Saturday, you have some pretty good games. You have Clemson, number 14 in the country, going to Georgia. Are they going to Georgia? Or is that neutral site? It says they're going to Georgia. So, okay. So, Georgia's favored by 13.5, but, we're going to see. Now, I was watching a little bit of Georgia's spring game. Beck did not have an overly great game there. So that's going to be, a factor. But Georgia's defense is Georgia's defense. They're elite. So, that's something that, I definitely want to keep an eye on, in reference to that. I'll definitely have it on. You also have, it was Penn State. Penn State is going to West Virginia. Penn State is number 8 in the country, and they're going to West Virginia. Now, Penn State is 8.5 favorite, but these teams are pretty much in the same region. They're in the same recruiting area. West Virginia is always a rival with Pittsburgh, but Penn State is in central Pennsylvania, so they're right there. So this is going to be a big game. So I'm going to definitely keep my eye out. That game is played at 12 noon. The Georgia game is going to be on ABC at noon, and the Penn State is on Fox at noon. So, yeah, that's where that's those games. The 3:30 window, you have number 19 Miami, the U. They're going to take on Florida. That's on ABC. And usually, though, that's a neutral site game, but it says at Florida. So, we'll see. Miami is favored by 2.5 points. So, but that's going to be a nice game right there. And the big one that I'm going to be streaming if everything goes right, and it should. I'm going to have my granddaughter. So, I just got to get her occupied, and I should be fine. 7:30 kickoff. Number 7 Notre Dame taking on number 20 Texas A&M. So that's going to be a big game. Notre Dame is in that championship hunt. Texas A&M wants to prove itself. So I'm definitely going to be streaming that game. Make sure you guys check in with me. What's up, Jersey? I really appreciate you. Yeah, I'm good, man. Definitely good. I'm definitely going to be bringing it to you. So, you know how I do. I definitely love covering college athletics, especially college football. So, I'm in my zone right now. I'm loving this. So, also, if you guys have a team that you're rooting for, let me know. I'll tell you what I'm seeing right here, and what the line is. So, now there's some games on Sunday and Monday. I'm supposed to be covering those also. You have number 23 USC, the Trojans, taking on LSU. I do believe that's at a neutral site. It keeps saying at LSU. LSU is ranked number 13, so that should be a very interesting game. And then Monday, you have Boston College taking on Florida State. So, and that's at a 7:30 kick on ESPN. The USC LSU game is on ABC. So there you go. And just a little update on games that were played. You had Hawaii defeat Delaware State 35-14. This is all on Saturday. I told you about Florida State and Georgia Tech. You have, I believe that's McNeese State and Tarleton. Tarleton beat McNeese State 26-23. Montana State came back to beat New Mexico 35-31. I think New Mexico was up by 17 points. So that was a big win for Montana State. And they're of the FCS level. So, and they're just like North Dakota State. That's why I said I'm trying to look at that, because they all play in the same conference, along with South Dakota State, who are the national champions of the FCS level. So you have Southeastern Missouri, who beat the University of North Arizona 37-15. You have FAMU, Florida A&M University, beat Norfolk State 24-23. That was a great game. And then SMU fought back and came back to beat Nevada 29-24. So those are the games that were played this weekend. So, I just wanted to touch on those quickly. And let me get to the chat real quick. I covered that earlier. UNC is going to, who did I say they were going to? Yeah, they're taking on, where's UNC? UNC plays, I believe they play Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, they play at Minnesota on Thursday, NYG. So it's a 8:00 kickoff on Fox. So Thursday they're playing. So Duke, you said Duke. Let me see if I can find Duke for you. Duke is playing. Duke is hosting Elon on Friday. It's on the ACC network. So, and that's a 7:30 kickoff, man cave. So, but there you go. So, that's the updates. And the last thing in college football I wanted to talk about is the national champion Michigan Wolverines. They received a notice of allegations in reference to the College Stallions sign stealing situation. Basically, what that means, the NCAA, is going to be doing an investigation. Michigan has 90 days to respond back to the notice of allegation, so they can address the accusations. After that, the NCAA could then call a meeting of the infractions committee to make its case. But this will all go into next year ultimately. So they'll take Michigan's going to take that 90-day window. They're going to respond, and then the NCAA is going to follow up, and that's all going to go into next year. So that's pretty much what that means there. So no, you good, NYG. That's fine. I know you're busy. You're doing things. We talked earlier. So 8:30 in Minnesota. Yeah. It depends on the quarterback play and Minnesota. Minnesota, are they going to step up and be the Minnesota that they have the previous years, or are they going to be Minnesota from last year? If they're Minnesota from last year, North Carolina should have the talent to be able to not handle them, but beat them. But again, if Minnesota, gets better quarterback play, they do have some talent there, and they do have some feisty guys on defense. So, but in terms of Michigan with the notice of allegation, I do not foresee them. They might take games, but from everything that I heard, they're not going to take their national championship. So in other words, they might say, if they're found guilty, during the time period, they might strip them of some wins. But as far as the national championship last year, the NCAA is not going to take it. And I got that from a very reliable source. Personally, I think that's bad for business. If you're saying that they cheated, then the championship. Now I understand that, quote unquote, they don't run the championship series, but you should be able to take that championship away from them because they're representative of the NCAA, or at least talk to the committee and have the committee take that championship away. So, but that's why a lot of people feel like the NCAA is a joke anyway. So, but that's what it is. With the NCAA, can't say anything more about it. That's pretty much how I feel. I mean, and then also the other factor is, if Michigan were to get the Big Ten to support them, could that force the Big Ten to talk to the SEC about separating from the NCAA? Because there's always been talk about that. So, that's something that's down the line. So I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell. So, but yeah, that's what I have for today. In terms of the Coach Ed Gladney's Reading the Tax Show live, I really appreciate you guys. This week, tomorrow, I'm going to be with my boy NYG22, also known as Unpopular Opinion Sports, with another Heart of the City. Wednesday, I'll be with the Pick and Roll podcast on the Hardcore Sports Network. I'll also be doing my Doing It for the R on my Rutgers show, All Rutgers. Going to be focusing on Rutgers football for Thursday night. Thursday, I won't be able to call the Rutgers game because I have the full court press that I'll be doing 7:00 on the Hardcore Sports Network. Friday, I'll be doing another Reading Attack Sports Show live here on the BBK, the Big Blue Crew Sports Network, as well as the Hardcore Sports Network, and of course my channel, Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports. I'll also be, we'll see if we're going to be doing the Blacktop series, and then Saturday I'll be doing the Halftime Coaching Adjustment Show with my man Philly Halftime on the Hardcore Sports Network program, as well as I'll be covering the football games like I told you, man. So, but easy win for Minnesota, Big Ten football, NYG, this ain't bad. Oh, good one. Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate the support. So, But yeah, that's what I got going on the rest of the week. Busy as always, trying to stay busy, trying to bring you guys content. Hopefully I can start getting back into making videos, even if it's just X's and O's breakdown. But yeah, that's what I want to get into. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually watching the Tarleton State versus McNeese State, the replay. So I always got to have football on if it's on. So you know me. So, but that's pretty much it. Looking forward to bringing you more with the Coach Ed Gladney's Reading Attack Sports Show live. I hope you guys appreciate it. Thank you to Man Cave for being here. NYG 22, also known as Unpopular Opinion Sports, Jersey G81, Arku, Mosley, Chad, Q Burrow Brother, Tudo, Raf, Capitan Rafael El Fucho, my brother. Thank you for being here. Tudo for always putting the links in the chat. Let me see, who am I forgetting? Deception. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. You guys go check out Deception, young talented YouTuber. So definitely bringing you some good content. Leaf Diggy, being here as always, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, bro, I'm definitely trying. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to the League of All Leagues and the New Jersey Silverbacks for the support and the sponsorship, as well as all my other sponsors. Thank you all. So. But with that being said, Coach Ed is about ready to get out of here, and I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all stay safe. Peace.
Yo, it's Coach Ed. Got the insights, no boats. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies balling, fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down dynamic. Tune in, listen up. Don't want to miss the flow. It's Coach Ed's Reading Attack, the sports show. From the courts to the field, he's got the stats. Dropping knowledge is where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the party. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turfs to like youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the facts, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.